Welcome back. It makes you cheerful. People care so much. That's what a detective said a few moments ago. We've had tremendous calls here tonight, many, many hundreds of them. On the Darlington raider, frankly, the lines have been swamped both here and at Darlington with excellent information on the travellers, check fraudsters, possibly one of the men identified. On Jamie's disappearance, a very important call. One man who's called has said he was actually responsible for taking Jamie that night. Lorna Hales, the murder in Brixton, some again, very important calls of people who've identified witnesses and identified events. And, of course, some of the Aladdin's Cave treasures have been identified. So let's go through them. Sue.
Well, first, the armed robber who's carried out 6 raids in the space of 18 months, all of them around Teesside in Darlington. We showed you the most recent attack on Morrison's store in Darlington on August the 9th.
Give us the money or I'll blast you this time.
In the chase that followed, the gunman showed his face clearly. He's between 35 and 45, and he goes to great lengths to tune up the old cars he steals as getaway vehicles. Ken Lavery, what sort of response have you had?
We've had an excellent response both here and at Darlington.
People have named names, I gather.
Yes, we've had a number of names given to us. In particular, we would like a man from Northumberland who appeared very scared to contact us, and any information he gives would be in complete confidence.
And he can remain anonymous if he likes. You just want to ask him some more questions?
Most certainly, yes.
Could we have the description of the robber once again to jog people's memories?
Yes, he's between 35 and 45 years of age, with a weather-beaten face, of hawker appearance, aged between 35 and 45, 5'8" to 5'10" inches tall, of sturdy build.
And he does carry live ammunition. You're anxious that he should be caught before someone's hurt?
Yes, this man is dangerous.
Mr. Lavery, thank you very much indeed. Nick?
One of the saddest cases we covered earlier was the killing of a very bubbly, exuberant young girl, a 28-year-old called Lorna Hales from Brixton in South London. Superintendent Paul Richards has been taking the calls and is fairly pleased with the response, I think.
I'm delighted with the response we've had.
How many calls have you had?
62 now.
Now, what information have you definitely got?
Well, we now know 2 of the people who were the late arrivals at the barbecue, so that's very good news.
Right. You had, I gather, some information about the wedding, too, that was in her diary there.
Yes, I think we know where the wedding is now. There's a large wedding nearby, and we can make our inquiries and do that.
OK. Now, on the Saturday, the 2nd, I think it was, of August, she was due to go to a party. At least it was in her address book there.
Yes, that's right.
You still, I think, haven't found out where that was, who'd invited her.
No, we're still desperate to know where that party was.
Right.
Whether she went or who invited her.
And what else do you want? I mean, a lot of her friends have already rung in, but anybody else who hasn't heard the original appeal, anyone who saw her after the Friday, presumably?
Yes, anybody who spoke to her or was visited by her after seeing Hazel Martin in the laundrette.
That's Friday the 1st of August?
Yes.
Right.
I'd like to know where she went.
Superintendent Richards, thank you. Sue?
Well, next we asked if you could help find the man who kidnapped 8-year-old Jamie Thomas from Lincoln. Jamie had gone out to play on his bike, but then he met a man who took him on a 50-mile train journey to Peterborough. The man led Jamie, still with his bike, on a 15-minute walk then from Peterborough station.
Don't worry, it's not far.
Jamie was taken to a bedsit for the night. He wasn't hurt, and he got away next morning. You've had some interesting calls, Mr. Bullock. One in particular.
Yes, a chap called Stephen has rung here this evening, stating that he didn't mean to harm Jamie, and I would urgently ask him to telephone me here so I can have a word with him.
While you're checking that one out, can we perhaps have another look at the area of Peterborough where Jamie was taken, because that's where you're hoping people might recognise that face, that man.
Yes, after leaving the railway station, he made his way to the Cobden Street area, and we're almost certain that he stopped in a bedsit or a flat in Cobden Street, Cromwell Road or Gladstone Street that night.
And finally, a reminder of what the man looks like, if we could have a description again.
Yes, he's described as between 40 and 55, medium build with fair hair which is thinning on top. It was straggly at the back, and he was wearing a 2-coloured anorak coat, and he was carrying a blue bag with a shoulder strap.
Mr. Bullock, thank you.
Next, our Aladdin's Cave of stolen property. Here's John Bly.
Well, it's been a rewarding programme for us too. A lot of people have called in about the gold watch. An amazing number of people have lost £35,000 diamonds. But we have had a positive identification on the ivory tusks at the back. We've also had several calls on both these marvellous clocks, one with the globe and one without. But I think best of all for tonight is the pair of figures. And this pair of figures was stolen last year, just before Christmas, from a lady's house in the Isle of Man. And I think she has given us such a positive identification and such description that there is no doubt this is the lady they belong to. And I think that with any luck, we should get them back to her in time for this Christmas, which would be, I hope, a suitable Christmas present for her. Thank you.
It's good news. Well, to find out what calls have been coming through from tonight's incident desk, here are David Hatcher and Helen Phelps. Helen, first of all, the brown van connected with the murder of Mabel Crandall in Herne Bay.
This generated many, many calls. We've had over 50 so far, but we would like information that ties the van up with the man that was seen a day or two before the murder. He's described as with dark hair, noticeably dyed blonde streaks. Gypsy appearance, so he could be a traveller from anywhere in the country.
So we should emphasise it's a brown van. We only found a blue van, but it's a brown one. The bogus policeman in Bristol, how's that going?
A very, very poor response, and it's a case understandably close to our hearts. 2 men entered a home of an elderly lady pretending to be detectives. Once inside, one handcuffed her, the other ransacked her place, stealing antiques, £4,500 worth. We have a video fit of one. He's described as slim, 6 foot, and in his 20s.
Right, let's hope we get some calls on that. Thank you, Helen.
David Hatcher, those robberies at Camden in North London, armed robberies, you haven't caught them yet, have you?
Well, everything's possible, Nick. Be patient. We've actually had a disappointing number of calls on that one, although one is a very strong possibility. So it's not the width, it's the quality in this case. And we've had a name of somebody given to us that we hope, in fact, they're checking out now.
Good. I was listening earlier. I gather you've got quite a number of names in connection with the travellers' cheque frauds as well.
Yes, we've got a lot of possibilities there. We've had a lot of historical sightings of all 3 characters as far away as Spain, Birmingham and Glasgow. But we're optimistic that the first 2 may turn up with an appointment in the very near future that we intend to keep as well. And also the 3rd man, we've been given a name from somebody who thinks they're dealing with similar matters.
Right. Now, the speedboat that was stolen from Aberdeen, what's happened about that?
Yes, we've had numerous sightings of the possible speedboats. We've had a lot of adverts that we've got to check up as well. So anything could turn up, but we're very grateful to the callers who've rung in and said that they saw it being driven today, being towed by a metallic silver Vauxhall. Unfortunately, I've spoken to the driver of that Vauxhall. He was on his way here, and I'm happy. But thank you for calling in.
That was bringing the replica speedboat
That's
here.
right.
Well, obviously, it's perceptive viewers. Thank you very much for calling on that one.
Well, if you think you have any information on tonight's cases, please do ring. The lines here to the studio are closing any minute now, about 7 minutes' time, but you'll see the local police numbers on your screen in just a moment. If you'd prefer to write to us, our address is Crimewatch UK, BBC Television, London W12 8QT.
I really hope you haven't had difficulty getting through. If you do, of course, you can always just ring your local police. We'll be back next month. Meanwhile, once again, remember the crimes we show you really are the exception. Most people have never seen violent, serious crime for real and never will. With your help, we can keep it that way. So don't have nightmares. Do sleep well. Good night.
Good night.